second beam that has
In a
further
world
to
where
travel
space and
has to
time
arrive
are
later, there will be an interference pattern associated with that.
Further to travel with respect to what?
With respect to the inertial frame, I believe. Since the
Well,
rotation.
you mean the frame of the table? Because on the table they travel the same distance because they maintain the same spacing the entire time. So you need another frame for that to work.
And if they're rotating, that's a non-inertial frame.
Good point.
Yeah. Well, they define the table as the frame. They're in uniform rotation, so they're on the same frame. So,
Were you allergic to those words during the debate?
Difference.
Like, did you just say "good point" like it was nothing?
Hmm?
Did you just say "good point" like it was nothing?
I did, sir.
Can I ask you a question, C-Line?
Yeah, go for it. What's it?
How would you feel if you didn't eat breakfast this morning?
Well, I did eat breakfast this morning. What's it?
There it is.
I already heard your little bit, so I knew what to say.
But I'm saying, do you understand how retarded it is?
Why is it a got him to pretend to be retarded?
Did you understand that it's like literally retarded? Like if I say, "Hey, do you agree that if there's a consistent fringe shift measured, that can't be explained with error margin, that would refute a relativistic explanation?" And then you respond by saying, "No, I don't agree because that doesn't happen." That's a retarded answer.
I accept that I should have answered that better. Yes.
Okay, same thing with the other question, right? Like if the interferometric fringe shift is consistently correlative to altitude and solar motion, do you agree that refutes the Earth's motion as a possible cause? And you said no, because that doesn't happen. Again,
I'd have to. So, can you walk me through that one more time?
No, I'm busy. I'm just trying to point out that maybe next time, if you'll just actually answer the questions, that would be cool. And if you don't know, you could say like clearly you don't know, so you could be like, I don't know, man. I had to think about that.
That's true.
You could have done the same thing to Alan, for example. I'm actually giving you friendly advice here. Like it was very obvious that Alan was speaking over your head at times. And that's okay. Alan's like a robot, a relativistic robot. So you could just have said that you didn't know. What you were doing was sophistry by definition. You were avoiding his question and trying to find some way to get him on a gotcha to deflect away from addressing his points. That's my advice for you. I'm gonna now go back to doing what I was doing.
I also think you should put your cheat notes like on screen, like so it's like parallel with the camera like looking at you, so it doesn't look like you're looking down to read all the time.
Yeah, well, the thing is with that is that I was fucking doing. Look at my fucking shit here. Oh, I can't turn on my video.
At least
that organized. I had like all my references are like all over my desk.
At least you knew what the ECI and ECEF was, but you couldn't figure out why the Sagnac correction was important.
Yeah, all right, lads. Sorry, real quick to cut in. I went live on the after party stream, so go ahead and continue.
Mordwan, I think that they were.
What up, y'all?
I think that they were very nice to you because, and I'm not like tooting my own horn. Plenty of people would say the same thing, I'm sure, about what I'm about to say. But had I been in the hot seat with you when you were trying to address Sagnac under Relativity's paradigm, you wouldn't have gotten any further because you never gave any specificity to explanation. All you did was say, hey, I have a paper. I actually have two papers, and these papers say it works. So yours say it doesn't, and mine says it does. What do you have to say to that? You never actually steelmanned your own position. And when I asked you when you came back in here, you didn't have a steel. You still don't have a steelman. Yeah, so I still don't think that you even understand it in your own framework.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't think I did enough time prepping for that, and I should have because I know that that's one of Alan's main things.
I told you.
So I got a question for you. Why would you come out of the gates stepping up to
Aether, dude?
This topic? Yeah, like what is this the first time you've done a debate on camera like that in that setting?
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, so I know that that's pretty intense, and props to you for doing it and all that. But you should not have gone against Shane and Alan Aether versus relativity, right? Like that is such a big boy
I know it was
debate,
their
bro.
I
But
know
he
it was
thought he
their
was safe because you combine space time and ether. He was like, "They'll never get us, guys. We took their position. It's gonna be great."
But Elon, you know we all know that, right? We all read Einstein say, "I would have been better off to assert the non-existence of an ether drift than an ether," and I found out that we must invoke an ether if what we mean by ether is simply that space must be endowed by physical properties, and that ether's journey is by no means finished, but rather continued by relativity, etc. We know that position in and out.
really
We
know
know
that.
the fundamental differences between the two, and they, I mean, bro,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to tell you, bro, like bad decision. Bad decision.
Well, it's a
More than one. More than one.
it's a
Can
good
I?
thing that- Yeah, go ahead, Liliana.
Sorry, more than one. Can I just say one thing? As an audience member, I notice you guys always interrupt a lot. I mean, it happens every single show. So really try to maybe not do that because it's so annoying to keep getting our side interrupted, you know? Because, yeah.
You notice how little we interrupted you, dude?
Yeah. No, that's
You did it a
fair.
couple times, Shane.
I know, but very little, right?
Yeah. You guys, I think won in that regard for sure.
But like, so
I think
here's
at
the other
one point,
thing.
to give Shane's a benefit of the doubt here, at one point you feel like you have to, right? Like at one point you feel like, oh well, if I don't, then I won't even get to say my thing. I won't even get to defend my position, right? The audience is gonna leave hearing one side of it.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
all
but like
stop
the thing is, it
pretending
happens
that
every
Peter or
time.
Shane were even a part of that debate. That was the Alan and Lucas show.
What?
Well,
What
First
did
of all,
somebody
this is
say?
Lucas.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Talking
Said
about
that-
Peter and Shane.
We have the Celine lion. I fucking
You've
love it.
been there.
we still have a problem in this community with finding a host for a debate that will actually be strict to both parties involved and like control it in a very like specific manner. I mean,
And what sucks is I know I
could-
can do it really well. I just don't want to do it.
Yeah, we could have.
Why not?
We could have asked
Who
for
does
that
that suck
strictness,
for?
but
What's it?
it was like,
No, we went with the open format because we thought we could handle it and you guys would be respectful. But you leaned on it a little bit for sure.
Well, dude, I thought I have put enough on the resume for you to know that you could never make that assumption.
I like to make my own mistakes and then 7 times over.
Dude,
Man,
I know. I'm just looking for that really good one. I'm like, I'll give him
Dude,
maximum
you had
benefit.
such high
You gotta fall off the
Dude,
bike yourself,
Dude,
huh?
I even gave Peter maximum benefit. I was like, there's no way he's
So
gonna
much
show up.
benefit, dude. I
was like-
told you.
I was like, there's no way he's gonna show up and try and say space time is ether and then be like,
Oh.
what's an absolute frame? And it's like, bro, will you get on the train with a bomb? He's like, I need a piece of paper, some crayons, and a fucking a book of matches. And it's like,
that
what?
was not a
What?
good look, dude. I need a MacGyver my way out of this word problem. First of all,
Yeah.
It's not fair
Yeah.
that you give us a really hard problem to discuss.
that
on this
wasn't
debate.
hard, dude. All right.
dude.
Did you make up the bomb? Like, dude, there's not a physics question about a bomb on a train, is there?
No, so check this out.
You made that up, right? Like,
Yeah. This other guy, it might have been Xavier, to be honest, but there was this guy.
I was like, what the crew, dude? I remember.
There was this guy that wrote a paper, and he was like, suppose you have two balls that are over a balance beam, and the balls will be released simultaneously. If you're in motion versus a stationary observer, is there any scenario in which both of the balls don't hit the balance beam at the same time, causing no deviation in their deflection, or when they bounce back up because they hit at the same time?
Oh, and from that we
and from that it's like, how do we up the stakes? Okay, what's the
real life? Yeah,
dude, it was funny. He was asking for he was like, do you have a picture of that to visualize it? It's the literal train car relativity of simultaneity, the first thing when you Google it. And he's like, nope, I'm blind. I need to see it. You need to show me practical example. Like, dude, okay, do you want me to get a bomb, put it on a train? And like,
honestly, we shouldn't have directly addressed Peter one time. We should have just kept talking more to him.
Hey, I did have an idea though. I'm about 90% sure. I don't really know him personally, but just from seeing his content, I'm about 90% sure that if you were to reach out to him with it, Mindshock would be more than happy to host a debate for you or for like the community. Like if you were to like stamp it or whatever.
Well, I think I actually have mentioned the idea to him. You know what's crazy is I actually have a good name for a debate show if I ran it. It was going to be Clash of Wits. And I was going to moderate. Yeah. But dude, it's just exhausting just to even think about it. Like I mentioned him hosting, I mentioned Mindshock moderating a debate between me and Professor Dave a while back. I don't think he ever responded directly. I think he I don't know. Yeah, he didn't say yes. But I mean,
I think it's a bitch
You're
for
a really good
everyone.
moderator with it, because remember you moderated that one on Ian's show. I think you were great.
yeah, I
Then-
think so. I've been through it so much that I think I could be a good moderator for sure. It's just
Yeah, dude, I learned that I hate it and don't care after doing it for like 8 months straight or whatever, right? And you're like, oh, let me run a thing, and you know what? I got my fill. I'm good.
Well,
Can
well,
you-
something else a moderator okay, this is something else moderators almost never do that they should do and they're supposed to do. They got to get their hands dirty a little bit, meaning that they actually have to follow the conversation. That's the major problem is most of these moderators
Yeah, they
just
just tune
check out.
Yeah.
You have to follow
Yeah.
the conversation and you have to be able to say, wait, okay. So he said this, you said this, he said this. So now he's asking you this question. Do you have an answer specific to that?
right,
You have to be
chain
able
of
to do
priority.
that.
That would be nice. I've never even seen
Yeah,
that happen in
it's-
real life.
Yeah, you have to establish a chain of priority. It's like the same thing as like if you guys ever played back when like middle school or high school or whatever, like Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh or any of the card games. There's like a chain of like
You know who
events.
did a good job at that was Owen Benjamin.
Yeah.
Sort of.
I was
sort of.
about to
Sacred
say
does
the
that on a
same
daily
thing.
basis. But
Weirdly,
Owen
kind
actually
of,
does
but
well at
then
that.
also had other problems. Like, he
Yeah, where
also
Owen
laid
did
off
where
the
Owen
worst.
messed up was he was like trying to bring up subjects and make arguments.
Yeah.
You don't do that. But like yeah, the one Leiliana was talking about, it was like the scriptural debate, and I was listening intently, still manning the other person's when it would get lost in the sauce and it would get hectic, you just pause it, you still man the other person's position, and then you send back the conclusion or question to the person, right? Because whenever the moderator does it, they have to respond. So, like for example, C-Line tonight, if I had been there and I had to like rephrase and stillman or summarize Alan's point, and then been like, so do you have a response to that question
Yeah.
specifically? He would have to, or it would look so bad. You know what I'm saying? It would look so bad. So,
Well,
yeah.
also the thing is, with Sid, you don't get emotionally involved in it. Whereas Owen Benjamin he was a little too emotional. Like he got too excited here and there and everything. Like when you do it super duper. Like there's a sense of absolute fairness.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
But yeah.
chain of priority. Somebody who's able to do that in the debate will help. Yeah, because
Oh,
whoever.
by the way, I am moderating one recently, and I forgot about that. Brother Nathaniel and Dustin Nemos are debating
Ooh.
who the Jews are.
Nice.
We'll just leave it there, obviously. But so would be a typically very chaotic and intense, just terrible debate, I would imagine. But we'll see how it goes.
Dude, did I miss you on Stu Peters?
Yeah, we talked about stuff that you see the first day looking in a flutter.
Are you
No,
sad
but-
that you went 101 with him or whatever?
No, but it's good
No,
stuff
just
because
do
it
a super
introduces new lads. Like it was a good
Yeah,
cover of the
you did
basics.
the
You were
David
super
Weiss reel, you mean?
coherent.
No, I agree. That especially with his audience, it's good to just intro him. I think merely the idea that someone can like hold themselves somewhat decently and articulate as a flat earther is good. Also, sprinkling in stillmans is really good. I think every flat earther should incorporate that. Dude, you completely disarm the other side if you stillman their argument better than they can. So, for example, saying like we don't feel the earth moving and then just stopping there is retarded. You shouldn't do that. You should say, this is what they say, and you should stillman it. Make it sound the best you can. And then be like, but, for one, that's just begging the question, and this is why it doesn't work, and there's evidence against that. If you do that, you're way more credible in the mind of the new person,
Also, I think measurement is a better angle than feel, because feel is somewhat subjective towards your senses. Get it out of it and just talk about our inability to measure motion.
Oh my gosh, you just said
Well,
something.
let's unpack that. Hold on. Let's get a book and talk about how I feel
Do
about
you have
that
a paper?
first question. Is there a paper on that I could read?
You said that, and it reminded me that Sea Lion like brought up it's a measurement, not an experiment. And I was looking at his name about to open my mouth and call him out, and right when I looked at his name, he leaves. Like just now, he just left, bro.
I think he probably gauged the temperament of this conversation and realized he should just not listen.
I'm sorry, let's unpack that. What do you mean when you say conversation?
What do you mean by mean? What does mean?
Isn't it really a debate if you spend 50% of your time asking people to explain everything to you?
Dude, it was literally that's what I said in the
Teach me how
chat.
that works.
Yeah, I was like, oh, so this is actually just them not understanding it at all.
Dude, you know what it
Okay.
is? It's my fault because I don't expect anything different. Like I expect to be asked 1,000 questions and answer them, and I expect to ask questions and have 0 of them answered. So it's definitely on me.
So you just give. I do the same thing. You
Yeah,
just start doing it. You
God.
just start answering all the questions, and like basically what that came across to though is to any honest viewer was like, okay, this is probably over a lot of people's heads, but 2 people are extremely informed. One is kind of he crash coursed some of the buzz phrases, and these two guys are just basically in school. They're like raising their hand, asking questions in class. That's what it looked like. So
When he asked Alan to define proportional, I'm like, are you kidding me right now, bro?
Dude,
He's got to be a troll.
He started with relativistic stuff and time dilation. We're like, hold up, bro. What's the lab frame? I know that you have a tendency to misunderstand the basics. Let's start there.
Peter said that it was unfair to ask him like a really basic.
Yeah, dude, that was the funniest thing because we made
And
that
I was
up.
like, bro, you accepted
Hilarious.
about relativity.
He's like, I
And you're
remember
saying-
this
you're
one.
saying
I
it's
remember it, but I don't have the
unfair.
answer. It's
Somebody
like
asked
that's
you a question about it. I'm like, what the fuck?
Like,
dude, the funniest part was he actually dismissed it as a quote unquote debate tactic after
Dude, I
30 straight minutes of
He said
both
it
of
was
them
a
just using debate tactics.
a basic question. He's like, oh my god, debate tactic. Yo, Xavier,
Dude, they were
we're-
literally using debate tactics, right? They were like, how can I tactically not answer their questions and then try to get a gotcha and deflect? That's all they were doing. And then you ask like a very pertinent, specific, relevant question, and he's like, "That's just a debate tactic, bro." Like, what?
You know, Shane and Alan, I thought you guys are too generous with these people. You
That's what I
don't
was about to
really,
say.
yeah, you guys don't really call them out on their faults. You just sort of let them get by with it. You know, just
Well,
yeah.
Jaren should have been
you
doing
need to
more.
be less generous.
Well, you're right, but like when you're up there, like it's hard to care the whole time because they just start so
Yeah.
shitty and they don't get any better, and you're just like, oh,
Yeah,
just let it end.
you got to understand, Lily, when it's like every time you say something, they'll latch on to the most basic aspect of it and go, let's unpack that. Or can you define this arbitrarily thing? It's like, I can only take so much of that before I quit giving a shit. And like, they
Like I
just,
start off strong, but man.
yeah.
What do you
like-
mean by
What do you mean by giving it?
Yeah, even Jaren in the comments is like, I only understand 16% of what's been said so far.
That is a big part of it. For him to get in and moderate it would have been difficult for him, but like it didn't even require like immense knowledge about the subject in this scenario. It was very obvious that one side was just overtly deflecting and obfuscating the entire time, right? But I will say, to defend them here, so I know that as an audience member, it's easy to be like, oh man, you should have called them out. It's so frustrating to watch them be so squirmy. But when you're there, you also have to keep in mind optics to some extent, right? Like if you just started getting really frustrated and aggressive and overly assertive and stuff like that, it just isn't always the best optically. So you're almost like trapped in a way.
Yeah, and they'll clip it and be like, "Oh, look how mad they're getting. Jeez, what's going on with these?"
Dude, I could tell Alan was getting pissed. I was trying to find a way to diffuse that and talking to like, man, dude was just going in circles and you were having none of it. And then the interruptions, man, like, isn't it weird that not this time, but every single time interruptions are extremely one way? And he was like, yeah. And that was it.
Oh, I
and then he
think
left.
okay, this is a good thing though to point out. A good thing
Right.
that everyone should point out is be like, why? Like point out to the audience, like, dude, let's just think, why is that the case? Why is the incessant interruption so disproportionate? I mean, like, why
What do you
does
mean by
one
proportion,
side
though?
why does one side interrupt way more than the other, right? And the answer is because as you begin to lay out your position and it's building, they can start to sense the impact of that conclusion and they have to stop it.
I
That's
will blow
literally
up.
what it
Oh,
is.
no, I don't want to get on that train. You know what? I refuse to answer the question.
That's a tactic.
And then it makes
It's
you lose track.
Well, you also said it because of the audience too, right? They know that there's an audience listening, and they can't let that resonate. Because if they let that train of thought resonate, that's a oh shit moment. So cut the cut the conversation
That's what
midstream.
I'm saying. They can't let the impact of the conclusion be heard by the audience, right?
Dude.
Because that they're basically MK Ultra. They come in there trying to MK Ultra the audience.
Isn't it weird though that we let them make their points to resounding silence and sometimes don't even fucking refute it because we're like, you know what, that's retarded. Everyone can see that's retarded. We're good.
That's kind of how I prefer it, Shane, is like let them lay out their whole case, let them make their point, and then trust the moderator to control the floor and not let them interrupt me, and I'll just go piece by piece and like pick apart what they just said and why it's stupid. But like when the moderator allows them to constantly interrupt, it's not very like constructive to the debate itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jaren could have done a lot more. Let's just leave it at that.
Well, I think I'm going back next week.
Well, now you know. Now you have a point of reference. Every time that someone debates someone within our community from their community, like those people are now marked as to their behavior. So now you know. Mordwand and Peter are marked, and you know what to expect. So, like, if you ever end up in that situation again, you know, hey, you need to be specific with your claims. You say that you can explain it. Okay, explain it. Like, that's all that really had to happen. You didn't have to be mean to him. You just had to push him into a corner and force him to explain his own position because he clearly wasn't even able to steelman his own position. He just wanted to wave papers around in the air. If either one of you had been like, "Oh yeah, so what's the conclusion of that paper? How do you explain it?" He would have floundered. Like,
yeah, that was really painful. He like brought the paper up. He kept saying, "I have a paper, I have a paper," and then eventually it turned into, "We have papers." It turned into like a bunch of papers, even though he showed one paper. He showed one highlight from it. I don't even think he read the highlight, let alone draw any kind of line of logic about why the highlight was relevant or like how it made up. I don't even know what his point was, honestly, because I looked at the paper and I was looking at the left column and I'm seeing a bunch of math and I'm like, Ruyang Wong's math for explaining the Sagnac effect is way more eloquent than that.
Dude, yeah, like
it makes way more sense. And so what I'm looking at here just looks like a bad case for your side, but you're not even making the bad case. All they kept saying is, I have a paper, I have a paper.
I have a case somewhere. Hold on, let me stab at it a little
that was
bit.
so painful.
Dude, that is what happened.
Yeah, but he came in here and admitted what he did. So all he did was try and look up the supposed rebuttals or refutations of some of the stuff they've heard Ether cause breakdown a lot. He tried to read through them. It was overwhelming. He tried to go to the summary, try to understand it. And he knows that they're just trying to say nuh-uh and that they're not agreeing because they're relativistic proponents. So then he's just coming here with like a half-loaded gun, not even, right? Like he that's what it was. So there really isn't much more. He came in here and basically admitted that. He said like, "Oh yeah, I probably should have looked more into the Sagnac effect." It's like, okay.
Literally, talk about ECI, ECF is like, nah, I wrote those definitions down. Hold on, let me read them verbatim. I was like, good. Now, which frame gets corrections? Hold on, let me look at my notes and look down. I didn't write that down. Is that important? Shit.
They correct them
yeah,
both, by
that's
the
the
way.
whole point.
Hey, you remember Twitter last Friday, Shane? Remember, this has happened twice now. Twitter last Friday, I told him, hey, make sure that before the debate, you research the Sagnac effect. And then like 2-3 days later, he came in here. And I was like, hey, before your debate, make sure that you research the Sagnac effect because it's going to come up. And he's like, all right, thanks for the advice. Literally didn't do that. Didn't have anything to say about it. Like, I mean, that's totally his fault. I mean,
well, he
full good
described
faith was
it.
given to him.
Dude, he brought up a paper that used a rotational system to describe it, and our refutation was that rotational systems don't apply. It's a linear effect. He was like, nah, look at this rotational system with math.
He's like, I have a paper that says, no, this guy is wrong. It's like, what? You're looking at a graph of the fucking measurement, dog. What do you mean? What did he do wrong?
Peter talked about how Sagnac is his favorite subject, yet he didn't want to get into it because it might bore the audience. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, he was like, oh, that's boring. Let's move on. Did you say they correct in both, Alan?
Yeah, they apply them in both.
No, not in the ECI, I don't think, dude. Sagnac doesn't get ECI corrections.
Before it comes out of the ECI, it's Sagnac corrected.
Well, that's when we see it, right? But it's not there. It doesn't need it. That's because they're translating it and they just pretend that it's both in both, right?
I just read somewhere that they do it in both frames. I'll have to double check, but because I
thought that they pretend to do it in both frames because they can maintain the illusion that it's constant, right? That way, that's why they need the frames, and they can pretend that's why they needed the ECI frame, but it's actually not required. It says no correction is needed for the Sagnac in ECI because it moves with the Earth in its orbit around the sun in their position, right?
The This, you know how Alan was bringing up in the debate over and over that the only way that relativity can try to explain Sagnac is by taking a fictitious frame that's convenient at the center of the table where there is no motion. So that's the same thing they do with the Earth. Imagine the Earth is one big Sagnac table, and then they put the origin in the center of the table, which is the center of the Earth. Even though the emitter and detector are both at the rim of the Earth, right? The satellite and the receiver are near the rim of the Earth, but they invent a geometrically convenient fictitious frame in which they center the axis of the origin at the center of the table. The table being the Earth.
Like technically, it's necessary because the ECEF rotates during the time it takes for the signal to travel between the satellite and a receiver.
Well,
But
no,
not
that's
when
the
they
only
sync
way. That's the only way that they can make sense of having a
Yes.
fringe, because they're doing the same thing that the people do with it's a pretty much a one-for-one analogy of what they do to try to explain the Sagnac effect of relativity.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, so they, in order to even have a correction, because the correction is the analogy part is the correction in GPS is the fringe for the table. They can't predict a fringe for the table. They also can't predict a correction for the GPS unless they, do all this coordinate system transformation. Now, in ECEF, the Earth's not rotating, but they transform it before they send the information to there. So by the time the ECF gets it, it's
Right.
already been
Right.
corrected.
Well, I mean, it's not necessary to have the two frames in the first place, right? If it wasn't necessary for the ECI, it would have just had the ECEF.
Well, the ECEF is like the viewer equivalent frame. It's like
Yeah.
I'm standing on the ground, this is what I see frame. The ECI is
Then
the geometrically convenient frame.
it's also the mathematicians pretending to be physicists frame, where the sidereal rotation is the like the 6 months a day and 6 months. It has like no reference in reality, no tie to nothing. It's created to hide that difference, essentially.
Yeah, so
I mean, I don't know if I can prove it. I immediately said that's my opinion. Alan's like, I can prove it. I was like, oh, good, go. I couldn't. I don't, like it's pretty evident. That's like saying to prove NASA was created to like get the people's attention away from Antarctica, right? It's tricky. The timeline lines up, but I couldn't
It's tricky.
I couldn't like promise it.
I can make a good case in front of a jury, but I don't know.
Exactly. Like, I don't know, Alan. Maybe you can do it because I can't.
I can't even remember. What was it that I said I could explain?
I don't know.
I don't even.
You know, something that I've observed about Mordawan is that I think secretly in his heart, he has a ton of respect for you guys. And he knows that you guys are right, because anyone who's intelligent can see that logic is on your side, right? But I think he also knows that he is probably the most intelligent sounding globe believer right now. And I think he wants to get at the top of that list, and I think he wants to be like the top guy on that side. That's honestly what I feel, because he keeps showing up over here so much.
That's a astute
Yo, dude,
observation.
Leilani, we're 100% on the same page. So I said this actually earlier. I said he had a Freudian slip where he said he basically revealed his admiration of Aether cosmology by saying, well, I'm learning from the best, and then he tried to so he had to try to code it by saying, you guys always have really good papers, so I want to have good papers. So I 100% agree, right? And it wasn't just that was just where he accidentally said it out loud, but that's 100% what it is. And I got the same vibe when he was talking to me. Like he knows that we know what we're talking about, and he kind of feels like no one even really gives us a run for our money. And so he kind of is getting camaraderie out of the sparring.
Yeah. Also, he's intended to get clipped by a robot polisher. That's like his personal fantasy. He said that to me directly, and no need to speculate on it. So he's definitely trying to be
he's
King
about to
Glober.
get his wish granted. That's for sure.
He's definitely trying to be King Glober.
Dude.
He also has called us the flat Earth bosses. He said all he knew about flat Earth was YouTube comments, and he came in here one day and got Witsit, Alan, Toby, me, and 7 other people in 4 hours. It was ridiculous, and he was like, "Boy, that did not go the way that I thought it would after that night."
Well, we're all nice to him in here though. Like no one's like that's the bro.
That's why it was terrible when he went somewhere else and was like, I whooped their asses. They were terrible. That's so stupid. I nailed on every point. We were like, what?
Well, it's also because he's kind of nice in here. Like he's also kind of nice. In here.
Dr. Jekyll,
Yeah, it's
Mr.
kinda
Hyde
weird,
situation
actually.
completely.
It's hard to be mean to that guy. Personally, I don't feel the need to be mean to that guy because he's just so like he's like a teddy bear.
Same.
Well, you know, I
if
think
you don't
he
talk to
can
him in
totally
text chat,
sense.
good.
I think he can totally sense also that, you know, all of you guys, I mean, all of us are honest and we're sincere. And we're not trying to deceive anybody. You know, we can see through character, right?
Yeah, I mean, I agree that. Well, obviously, Alan, everyone's always different in chat. Like, who's the Ozian? Same way. Like, super soft talking to him in person. Super soft talking to him. Well, just let's not say soft. You know, that is the accurate description, like kind or whatever. But chat, just like a demon.
Yeah.
You know, and they're all like that, bro. They're
Why
all
is
just
that?
so different.
Why is that such a weird like
The accountability is removed.
juxtaposition?
Exactly, and that's why if it's an
Yeah.
anonymous chat, then it's just guaranteed they're gonna be the worst ever.
Wow. Yeah, that is it. And we have personal accountability in both situations, so it doesn't change, and that makes us look weird.
Yeah, because even just voice, even if it's
Sorry.
anonymous in voice, you can like immediately press back, right? Like you can just immediately call them out, and they have to like speak out of their mouth.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying, and respond. So yeah, I don't know. It's just whatever. But I will say this: let's just go ahead and call it like it is. So him choosing to come in and go to battle is basically solidifying a lifetime as a Glober. So what's going to happen is he's going to view all the information through a singular lens. He's going to desperately search for confirmation. It's going to now involve like ego and pride and has to have been right, couldn't have been fighting on the wrong side of things. It's going to make it progressively more difficult for him to ever consider actually accepting the reality
Well,
that
you can
relativity is a
see
lie.
I don't think he ever
can
had that
see his-
propensity.
You can see it happen like he was a different person during the debate. That's like him already putting up that different ego persona or whatever.
Yeah, so
The sophist wardrobe just comes on or whatever, like a ring.
by the way, being on a debate's even worse because now you're publicly on camera live in front of the
Yeah,
world.
I was kind of surprised that they readily agreed to do that. Like without even, I thought it was going to be a hiccup or something. Like, no, it's no big deal. And it's like, oh, well, how come you've never done it before today or whatever?
Yo, Eric, are you there, brother?
Yes, I'm just here. I was on mute though.
Hey, did you get a chance to watch that or?
Well, only the first part, and then I had to be called away. So that's why I wasn't going to say anything. I didn't get to the part where you were going to talk about the paper that we found. I wanted to be there, but I'll have to rewatch it, or I mean, I have to catch it on the replay.
Word.
Yeah, I don't know that it came up. We weren't. I mean, it was a lot of bullshit. I think the best part was the train bomb example, dude. Because I remember when you told me that, I was like, "That's the best example to get the point across immediately and directly." You said it, I was like, "Oh my god, that's brilliant." Yes, of course you blow up. Yes, like that's it. And as soon as you told it to him, he was like, "No, I gotta need some paper." But like, he's like, "I remember that question from college where I forgot the answer and I never answered it, but I remember the struggle." Like, what? But no, we made it up. That didn't happen, dude. You're remembering a different thing.
Immediately devolved into he tried to make it look like it was such a stupid question by saying it's taught at every
Like,
university.
not true. We made that up. Like, that is so ridiculous.
It's
And he was
like, but
it's
yet,
not.
yeah, you
Well,
don't
what-
even know how to. This is the thing. Any honest person is like, wait, why don't you logically talk through it right now, though?
Well,
Right.
when
Like
let
what
me
would
just
you
say
draw
quickly.
on your paper? Sorry, go ahead, Eric.
Oh, well, yeah. When Alan mentioned it to me, he mentioned the bomb, which so I found the less explosive example of a train on a train track moving at high speed, and it goes into a tunnel, and then it's completely inside of the tunnel, and then they close the two doors at the ends of the tunnel. So an observer on the ground would see when the train is completely enclosed, the doors close at the same time. That would correspond to the lightning strikes, and so that bomb would go off then. But the observer on the train, the rest of the world shrinks, length contraction. And so when he goes through the tunnel, relative to him, the train is never completely inside the tunnel because it's too long. His train did not length contract to him. And so that's this is sort of the train inside the tunnel example that corresponds to the simultaneous lightning strike that Alan gave. So, but Alan, you went with the explosive example.
Yeah, I did not.
It's right to the point.
Yeah.
It gets real stakes to it, you know.
Yeah, because when it's.
I think that answer.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Stan.
I think that question was on one of my papers long ago on a physics exam, and I actually checked with the prof after the term was over, and he showed me the answer sheet, and the correct answer is actually screw your train because I would just fly.
Nice.
I was thinking the same thing, Eric, though, like what you said about the paper that, like, I was wondering if it was going to get brought up, but that was far too bad of a dumpster fire to make sufficient progress to get there. You're talking about the Faraday mono or unipole paradox,
dude, we
right?
didn't even no, but we didn't even get to any of that.
That's another good one, but that I don't think Alan was going to bring that up. Were you going to bring up the unipolar?
Yeah, it was in my intro. Dude, my intro was a full decapitation to their position of the ether being relativity theory.
Yeah, I gave you mad extra time and you didn't even need it. Dude, you went so fast in training that I thought you were going to need like 3 extra minutes. And then you slowed the
Dude, I cleared it in like 2 minutes, it felt like. I was like, what?
Did you see my DM when you did it? And I was like, slow down, man. You got an extra 3 minutes.
No, I had everything completely.
DMs.
Yeah, I had everything completely closed and minimized. I didn't want
Dude,
to.
I DM'd you like 7 times. So I was like, Alan's in his own
in the
world,
chute.
bro.
Yeah, you gotta
He
have
was
it up
in the
on the
chute
side
and ready to
monitor,
kill.
bro.
Dude, he thought that he was gonna get presented like real stuff.
No, I get distracted and stuff, and I was trying to actually like engage, and then it just became too dog shit. But at that point, I didn't care. But anyway, I have a paper here about relativity and and simultaneity, and how it says here that students will solve the equations and whatnot, and everyone's cool with that, but they don't understand the fundamental principles of relativity, of simultaneity, and like this is a suggestion paper of like how they can change the curriculum to make it more coherent for the students. But it's like most of the people graduating, like they did, I forget the numbers on here, but it's like a large portion of them don't understand the implications of it, even when they solve the bomb train equation. So,
dude, do you remember when Manisto made a video making fun of this, and this dude rode a time dilating seesaw through the universe? We made a gif of it.
Yeah.
Wee.
Oh, by the way, I don't know if you guys know. I was gonna remind you now. Everybody's in here. You could tell him, Alan. But Alan was like looking at some stuff for the Battle of the Beams again because somebody I don't remember what the question was that they had asked you, Alan. But
it was
ended
about
up
the
going
radar
back
system being a
yeah, because the
different
picture was
configuration.
wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like me and him went and looked at the website and like found the right picture. And in the process of doing that, we actually found a source document written in German about the Telefunken corporation or company or that was like contracted by the military to build the towers and worked with them. And it actually gives in July of 1939, they did their own tests. Like the Germans that built the towers tested them with planes. And the planes flew at only 13,000 feet instead of 19. They only flew at 13,000 feet, and they were able to receive the signals from the big Knikkerbahn towers with the double dipole setup, an average of 1,000 kilometers away, between 8 and 1,200 kilometers away at 13,000 feet, which is like way further than even the examples given. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And so I think Alan put it on his thing, but
I
that
got
definitely
updated.
needs to be brought up next time.
Yeah.
Because
So
that's
I'm
even
gonna,
worse than.
I'm going to be presenting Saturday at Geo's, so we'll definitely have to get that fleshed out before then.
Are you doing something?
Has anybody
modern day debate?
Yeah, and then Monday on Modern Day Debate.
Oh.
On their server, on their Discord server.
Nice.
Actually,
has anybody stepped up with the half-ass decent Battle of the Beams explanation, Alan?
No.
Like, remember how gung ho Roofy was the first night he was in here, and he's like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
make another channel," and then crickets, right?
Haven't heard a
What?
word from him
What,
since.
what do you say about making a channel?
He wanted like an extra room for this Battle of the Beams. He was going to start working on it.
Oh, yeah, that died quick.
For your next debate, would it help at all if you literally, like at the beginning, asked Geranium? I keep calling him Geranium. Jared
I
or
like it.
something.
He's geranium now.
Geranium. I wonder if it would be like fruitful to ask the moderator to make sure that no one interrupts anybody. You
Yeah,
know,
no,
because
yeah, he definitely would
then
have
you
done
can hold
that.
him accountable if he answers you and says, "Yes, I'll do that." You know what I mean?
Yeah, he definitely would have done that, but we did an open forum because we figured it would be, fine or whatever. And it was like we at any time when we could have asked for like more moderation, but it's whatever.
But I just really feel bad that you guys constantly have to debate these midgets.
It's all good.
It's definitely been worse interruptions than that.
Yeah, because when you called them out on it, they apologized like they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar. It was weird. Like, hey, stop! Oh yeah. You're right. I suck. You're right. Like, what? What kind of a person has the self-awareness to stop and then keep interrupting and then keep stopping? Weird.
Welcome back, Toby. Speaking of coming back, then I ran out of Brushtail coffee today. I went to fill up my coffee grinder.
Uh-oh.
And the bag was empty. You know where I can get some more of that good penguin beak coffee grind?
Well, yeah, you my friend are just gonna have to head on over to brushtail.coffee or brushtailcoffee.com and order some coffee there. And then when that happens, I'll have to roast it for you and ship it to you fresh.
Wait a minute. So you don't even keep coffee on order? I have to you make it when wow. So that means I get the freshest coffee available. How do I I've never
What the
had
ad is going on right now?
I've never had nice things before. What do I do with such a fresh product? Do I drink it immediately or do I have to wait a couple of days to let it ferment or what?
Well, if it arrives too fast, which is probably not going to happen, but if it arrives within like 1 or 2 days of roasting, then you might actually want to wait a couple days because optimally you want to drink it like 4 days after roasting. But yeah, you want to drink it. You want to drink it up because it only gets less fresh, and it's the best when it's fresh. And I think that's one of the reasons you should order your coffee from me because it will always be roasted to order.
To order.
Oh yeah, next time let me know. I do have a very good testimonial.
Well, there is time for a testimonial.
Oh, okay. Well, I used to have really, really bad buck teeth. Like my teeth were super bucked. In fact, my parents they took me camping when I was a toddler, and then there was this little family of beavers that stole me because they thought that I was one of them because I literally
It
had teeth
happens.
like they have, like very buck teeth. And then when I started drinking brushtail coffee, just magically my teeth stopped being bucked. And then at the time that I started drinking brushtail coffee, the gap between the two front teeth was like very trendy. And so I even got a gap, like brushtail coffee just knew exactly what to do with my teeth. It's like gravity, it always knows exactly what to do.
Wow.
It has some magical features. Wow.
Wonderful.
Yet another testimonial. Wow. Wow.
It used to
How
be
how
real
did
bad.
you
I've seen her bite an apple through a picket fence before.
Wow. Well, there you go, folks. I don't know what else to tell you. The testimonial speaks for itself. So again, head on over to brushtail.coffee. If you're wondering what to order, go ahead and order yourself. Let's say today. Why don't you try out the Papua New Guinea wet process? That's a pretty good nutty bean. Yo, Shane, good job, man. Nice job tonight. Have fun on the dog walk.
Walking the Doge.
But you lads are always great, Alan and Shane. We missed so much of it at the end, though.
Yeah, I heard it was
Yeah, that was a
lagging.
bummer.
Yeah.
It got pretty rough for quite a while.
I got him to send me the recording of it, so hopefully the recording's better.
Yeah, what happened at the end?
Just
Was that
playing
the
it back
Jaren's
live, and
connection,
it's
or-
the lagging that happened in between. It seemed to go. I think it's only a live thing. If you go back to it, it plays fine.
Oh, nice.
It was
Thank
like
God.
that on Rockfin and YouTube.
Yeah, that was like a connection issue because we've, like Jaren, by the way, and myself, we live pretty close to each other, and we've had a lot of internet issues over here lately.
Ah,
And we're going bowling on Saturday.
nice.
That's awesome. And not the internet issues, but bowling.
Well, yeah, no, yeah, the internet. But I think it was
Well,
probably
bowling.
just Jaren.
Actually, I can't even say bowling is awesome, but the fact that you're getting together is cool.
I've met Jaren before. It's all right. It's not,
Nah, I know.
but, yeah, he thinks I can't bowl a 240 with a house ball. So
Yeah, he said he's calling complete BS.
well, we'll find out. Either way, I'm gonna pay for his gas and food and all that kind of stuff. 'Cause I know he has to drive a lot further than I do, so I volunteered to do that.
Yo, what's it?
But in regards to the debates and my experience listening to them, I like listening to debates, but I don't debate myself. That sounded weird. But anyways, when it comes to over talking people, it's a pretty natural thing to have happen in a debate, unless the moderator is basically forcefully muting the participants.
Well, there's a difference in interjections, conversational interjections, and intentionally suppressing, like intentional suppression,
Right.
over talking the person on purpose to dominate and disallow, exchange.
True.
So that's what Globers do, bro.
Oh, Alan, one thing I wanted to mention. I don't know how you would even test for this, but Jaren's 720p, when you were presenting, it kind of looked kind of grainy because I don't know if you preset it for different resolutions. I don't even know how you maybe do a playback or something like that because theirs were coming in clear and yours were coming in a little bit grainy. Just an FYI.
Oh, damn. Yeah, I should have just recorded the whole thing on my end. Just to.
I will say, Jaren was kind of off his game tonight. You had like their stuff up on the screen while you had things that you were showing and stuff. It was kind of annoying.
Oh, he wasn't maximizing my frame or whatever when I was.
No, he
presenting?
was basically being. You might as well have been James or whatever.
Dude, he
Oh,
was pulling
shoot.
a
So
Ryan.
it's a little hyperbolic.
Shoot.
I don't know.
Pulling a Ryan.
It was pretty rough tonight.
I should have. Well, that's my fault. Because I was using virtual webcam and I thought that would be fine, and I didn't tell him to, specifically pay attention to that or whatever. So I could have,
Ryan
told
is
him-
what I mean. I think, right?
told him-
Is that
yeah,
what I
you,
meant?
yeah, you mean Ryan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, tomato.
I definitely got a Ryan feel from the moderation tonight.
I kind of wonder if these globe debaters are paid because if they're even like slightly intelligent, they can totally see that you guys' position has way more logic. So it kind of makes me wonder if they just like get paid to do what they do, paid well.
Don't underestimate the longing for clout. So if you think about it, I mean, what else would be their call to fame?
Yeah, I guess you have a point there.
Jaren also isn't on Twitter much, so he probably doesn't know like who Peter really is. But I will say the Peter we first met is a lot different than the Peter we met now. The Peter we see now seems kind of defeated In my personal opinion, I think it's because he is realizing that the ether might not be a lie after all.
He learned from us, didn't he?
Yeah, he's just lazily trying
Learning
to
the lesson
co-opt
was
it
wrong.
as relativity. He was like, "We do a ether
Right. You,
rotation in the frame." Like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro?
Yeah, he's
you
gonna
still
find
have
a
the
way to make it
problem.
work for his globe. He's going. That's gonna be the last thing he does. Trying to
Yeah,
make it work.
where
for
did this Peter guy come from?
The toilet?
I've never heard him on Discord. I've never heard him on any stream at all.
You want the conspiracy or like basically all we know? He came from Twitter technically, but he came around after we stopped like interacting with this other glober, and he kind of like just picked up from that guy's spot, almost as if he was there the whole time listening to our conversations with the other guy. It was so weird. It was like a very smooth transition. Like he didn't want no updates on like, oh, flat earth, like where's the edge? Like he wasn't on no beginner level. Like he wanted to jump straight into physics in a weird way. So we kind of felt like he was spying on us, but he came from
Okay.
Twitter, really.
Well, I've never been on Twitter, so I couldn't say. But all right, that's good enough.
Good choice.
But I have spoken with Mordwand, and he actually invited me, like, oh, a friend request thing. Is he still here?
I think he's on his Discord. They're doing an
Yeah, he left.
after show thing too. I
Oh,
think
okay.
maybe.
Oh, yeah, I was speaking with him about electrical engineering kind of stuff, and he was like, oh, yeah, we should talk about that more. And he was very polite and all that kind of thing, but we've never spoken since. But he's, he's cordial, if you want to put it that way. He does kind of overtalk people sometimes, but that's kind of the nature of the internet.
What do you mean by cordial, though? Can you define it? Kidding.
Respectful. He doesn't use.
Well, let's
ad-hom.
unpack that. What do you mean?
Okay.
By respect?
Well, at least in the conversations I had with him, he wasn't being rude. He
Well, let me
wasn't
ask you a question because I think this is important. What do you mean by rude?
Ad-homs?
Well, there's a few different takes on that, so I think we need to.
I got a paper that says that what add-ons weren't used.
Oh, well. Well, if I'm wrong on that, please let me know. But at least in the
Well, let
conversations.
me ask you a question, bro.
If you didn't watch the debate, you won't get the joke. It's
Yeah, somebody didn't watch.
Yeah,
the
watch the debate.
No, I
then
watched
you'll know
the entire
exactly
thing.
what we're talking about. You're serious? Were you here when we were talking about it while we were watching it?
No, I was just watching the live stream from Jerry's
Literally
channel.
every single time a specific
Gotcha.
point was made, he was just like, Well, before I address your point, let's not talk about that. Like it was everything. Every single point. He just asked 12 questions. By the 13th question, you were just like, I don't remember what Alan said. Congratulations.
Well, that's being dismissive about a particular topic and not even addressing it. But in regards to just having a regular conversation, as far as I've experienced with him, he's been polite.
No, I agree. I said the same thing. That's why it's like, it'd be very difficult and out of pocket to be like super mean to him or something. I agree. But
He's also pretty eloquent when it comes to his conversations. He doesn't stall a lot, using those kind of phrases, which are very bad manners when it comes to public speaking. He's actually pretty good with that.
yeah, he efficiently bullshits.
Okay.
Yes, courteously.
Polite and efficient with the obfuscation.
Okay. Well said, Austin. So, Austin, Flattimberfest is coming up in, what day is it today? The 12th. Can you give us a little bit of a hint as to what you're going to be presenting at Flattimberfest?
I guess whatever I decide to make the presentation about between now and then.
Busted.
So,
well,
I'm
only
actually
asking
working on
because-
like a super amazing one. I've been working on it since the last Flattoberfest. Just prepare yourself. That's a joke. That's a
Okay.
joke.
Well, no, in Vegas, that was a great presentation. I know I watched that one in person, and I cannot make it to this one this year. So I'm just kind of curious. That's the reason I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't know. I booked my flights yesterday, so that's kind of the first time I started thinking about it, to be honest.
Yeah, you've been traveling a lot, man.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, we're live right now?
Yep.
No idea.
Yes. Yes.
Wait. Okay. Just
Or everyone say their credit card and social security number on 3.
555.
555. 1 2
555.
Oh, you guys are a bunch of 555ers, dude. Okay. Okay.
I was definitely just a follower.
Define credit card.
Yeah. Let's unpack that.
Yo, Pizio, are you there? Oh, I think he's AFK.
Might be AFK. But the one thing that summed up with the question that he refused to answer, but he totally got it right in college, is that it didn't help his situation. Even if they wanted to substitute space time with a rotating ether, they highlighted the problem with simultaneity. It's like a simple modus tollens. If space and time are relative, then simultaneity is necessarily relative. If simultaneity, there you go, is not relative, then time and space are not relative. So that was the crux of their entire debate. I mean, if not answering that question, it's not a debate tactic. It gets to the heart of your faulty logic. And if you can't acknowledge that, I mean, you could go around it all together. But that debate was ended in that moment for me when I saw that.
I would agree. I actually think the debate ended within the first 10 minutes. It was pretty much like opening statements kind of thing. It was like, oh, that's pretty much done. And looking at a lot of people that were in the chat were pretty much saying the same thing. It's a complicated subject to actually bring up, though, because a lot of people have not researched it or have even heard about that. But
well, it's too bad he left. I wanted to hear his explanation for the mechanics of the rotation. What's causing the rotation of the ether? Sheer velocity of observers? That can't be the case. Why is it making it rotate for you differently than me? So there's a lot of answers that are unanswered questions that he really can't answer.
I think there should be a round 2. Alan and Shane again versus both of them.
Oh, God, no.
God, no,
no, different subject though. Well, okay, that might be a little painful.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
like...
Yahtzee versus Parcheesi. Let's do that part 2.
Okay.
Well, I want to play it back and listen to Peter tell his story about doing that equation many years ago, because the first time he said it, he said he basically played it off. I did it years ago. It's been a long time. I can't remember the answer, blah, blah, blah. But then the second time he tells it, he says, I did it many years ago and I got it wrong. So I was trying to figure out which one was it. Did he do it many years ago and he just can't remember the answer, or did he get it wrong?
Probably both. Probably someone came and told him what the answer was.
It's his character for the camera.
Some stupid guy that is now a flat earther had to come tell him the answer.
Guys, don't get on the train. It's a trap. Dude, I did not expect that question to go so well. It was like a little secret bomb.
Yeah, I got to put 2 and 2 together for that joke. I understand it to a certain extent.
Yeah, so
I guess I got to go back and watch the last 10 minutes that I didn't get to watch.
You just got to remember, don't get on a fucking train.
Yeah, don't get on a train with a bomb on it. Yeah, so they say that due to velocity, like events that happen simultaneously for one frame won't be simultaneous in another frame because there's no absolute time and everything is relative as a function of velocity. So in their paradigm, there's the train can't detonate, right? Because there'll be link contraction and time dilation. That's one of those two observers in their paradigm would facilitate like a safety net, and the train wouldn't detonate in one of the frames. But we all know the train detonates regardless because it's just not going to not detonate. You know, it's retarded. Like they wouldn't even agree to get on the train, right? They immediately saw this when the stakes are at but when there's stakes involved. You can't be like, oh yeah, if we have a moving train that's stuck in a mountain or whatever. Like, no, that's just for funsies, right? They'll get on that train.
And that safety net is what, the lab frame that they're setting up for relativity?
No, it would be link contraction and time dilation due to the velocity. So because of the simultaneous event not lining up for both observers, there's an implication there that the bomb wouldn't go off. But we all know the bomb goes off every time, regardless.
Yeah, I gotta look into relativity. I need to understand the analogy a little more based on their concept.
Yep.
Don't try too hard.
Yeah,
Make you really confused.
Yeah, start with the principle of relativity of simultaneity, because that's like more fundamental than any of the two postulates. Two postulates are actually derived from that principle. So if you understand that principle, then you can start to understand the postulates and the implication of that and how they supplement the explanation of the principle of relativity of simultaneity by establishing that there's no absolute timeline or absolute distance.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but they had the opening statements to start with, and I do think I heard them basically admitting that they know the ether is real. Am I wrong on that one?
Yeah,
Kinda
so
what I was
they were doing like a little
perceiving.
mockery and trying to make it as like a relativistic effect through space-time, but it's antithetical to the ether framework because it implies an absolute time and space. So like the idea that they can have relativity in the ether too is completely out the window. Like they can only have it for funsies, right? But in reality, the implication of interferometry, if you accept an ether, is that the measurements are first order measurements of velocity and you have to take them as is. So that would retroactively, you would have to re-examine Michelson, Morley, Dayton Miller, all these people that measured a velocity that didn't correspond to the predicted value that the Earth would have if it was moving in relation to Newtonian dynamics. So in other words, if the Earth had a velocity of 30 kilometers per second, they would all, still be ether theory lads, right? But because they measured a velocity that was much less than that, they were like, oh, there must be no ether and the device actually contracted due to our motion. And that's the important part, is like from our reference frame, if you don't measure any motion, you could just interject whatever velocity it would have to be for link contraction and time dilation, and then assume that you can't measure it in your frame because of those factors. So it's like you'll have an unsubstantiated velocity, but you'll have an explanation as to why you can't measure it. So it's like a circular reification.
Completely unfalsifiable.
Yep.
Yep. Hey, Alan, can you help me understand something? It was so incoherent. I couldn't grasp what they were trying to head at. So when you said, when they tried to argue against an absolute reality, and he says, "Oh, where is this absolute frame, man?" And you talk about the lab frame. Yeah, you know where I'm going with this. Hold on. Let me get it out, bro. So motherfuckers like, oh shit, I'm sorry, I forgot you're recording. So
you're
dude's
good.
like, where is this? And you're like, where the laws of physics were derived on Earth, aka the lab. What was the gotcha that he was looking for? Because it was so incoherent. If you could help me out, bro.
I have no idea what their gotcha was going to go for, but it's like already acknowledging where they were. Yeah, just throwing darts and hoping I was retarded.
Gotcha. Seems like it.
It's like, just tell me where they don't apply on Earth, and that's where it's not. And he's like, well, they apply everywhere on Earth. It's like, okay, then it's the Earth. And he's like, but where specifically? Like, nah, dude. You tell me where they don't apply, and we'll go from there.
I was like, can you derive the laws of physics anywhere on Earth? Then that's your answer. So is it a yes or no? Motherfucker, bro.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was
It was
beautiful.
like, yeah, there's just sophistry is the only way out, right? Like literally GPS uses a fictitious frame and then they do a Galilean transformation. Suddenly Peter doesn't know the significance of a Galilean transformation. Can't argue it, but he never argues against it. Like, okay, dude.
Well, I think in all fairness, I think it's two-pronged. He is throwing darts, right? He's trying to get a gotcha on you, but at the same time, he doesn't want any questions back at him. Like if you would have done the same exact thing to him, he wouldn't have been able to answer a goddamn thing about anybody's model. He hasn't read any of those papers, and he admits it. So,
but he sure can unpack them.
And where is Peter from? I was trying to figure out his accent. Like France or something? Does anyone know?
I think he may be Polish.
I thought he was Czechoslovakian, but I think maybe Xavier's right.
It's kind of
Well, I'm
irrelevant.
pretty sure,
I'm just kind of curious.
Pretty sure he'll be coming by tomorrow night to X, so you can ask him then if you like.
Okay.
Ugh.
Hey, Alan, what was the pushback that he was trying to angle towards with the one-way speed of light with GPS? I couldn't quite grasp it because, again, it was incoherent.
Not sure.
Okay, I don't feel so bad. If you were debating him and you know what the hell he was heading at, then
like-
okay, well, I don't feel so bad.
It's like the Sagnac in opposite directions are technically one-way measurements, but I didn't think of it in the moment to answer that. Like the clockwise and counterclockwise are both one-way measurements of the speed of light that arrive at different times, corresponding with plus the speed of light plus the velocity or minus the velocity. So it's like technically that fringe pattern couldn't exist unless those were both one-way measurements.
What was his pushback with Sagnac when you said it had to be relative to the center of the apparatus and you couldn't have any preferred frames? What was his pushback? I couldn't grasp it.
I have a paper that explains it that has some math in it.
Oh gosh, but he couldn't do it himself. But definitely, trust me, bro. My paper.
Yeah,
beats your paper.
dude, I was actually reading it during the thing, like trying to figure out what it was even saying. But it's like, dude, it's not even a relativistic effect. If like here, that one paper is so devastating because it just breaks it down. It's like, okay, you have a constant speed, you have two inertial frames, so there's going to be no timing difference. It's just going to complete its circuit at the same speed. If the measurement isn't made with respect to absolute space, then there's no measurement because the time on the table is the same as the time in the lab frame. So, and if both of those are defined as inertial frames by relativity, because like, they say, it's a rotating frame, can't do it or whatever. That's not true. You can do it through several different methods. And if it doesn't apply, then like then they have no explanation for Thomas precession or anything like that, which they've like, built a whole paradigm on. So it definitely applies. So if you have two inertial frames, as defined by the postes, well, what's the speed of light in inertial frames? Well, it's c, so there's not going to be any variance, but yet it's measured with variance.
I asked Mordwan in the chat. I said, "Do you even realize you didn't quote from the papers you referenced? You just kept telling people you have them over and over again." His response, "No, but thank you for your feedback, and I will improve in the future."
I mean, and that's the best you could hope for, right? I guess next time he'll do better. We'll do a rematch, but before we do it, I'll make sure he understands my position and the Sagnac effect. And then we'll have him take a crack at it.
If you were going to rematch them,
I'm not
what topic
rematching
would you
them.
choose?
It would just be Mordwand. Peter
What
couldn't handle
what
it.
would be the topic? Same topic?
Yeah, Sagnac effect. It would just be show me how the Sagnac effect is a relativistic effect. That would be the whole debate.
I guarantee if you were to read his paper during a reading,
Dude, he already
Good.
yeah. I was to say he already DM'd me the Wang paper and said that the conclusion was super weak.
Who said
So,
that?
Mord.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did he DM you the paper that he was talking about?
Yeah. So it's probably dog shit.
Yeah, I guarantee if, like I was saying, I guarantee if you read it during your reading night and dissect it, I guarantee it doesn't come to the conclusion that Wang was debunked. I guarantee it. It's one of those things where you have to have a facade that you're informed. You're not gonna. If he was so confident, he would have gotten right into the line, highlighted like you do, and show you exactly where it debunks Wang. He doesn't. He just said, "Oh, well, I have a counter paper to your paper." Oh, see the knives?
See, I learned from you guys. I have a paper, but I didn't actually learn from you guys because I don't actually quote from the paper, and I'm just like showing a paper without actually using it to draw any lines of logic.
Word.
Okay, Alan, it's time to take you down to the pain department. Actually, it's the pain prevention department. Let's be very clear about that. Repeat after me, Alan.
Yes.
Long.
Long.
Come on, say it. Long.
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 Okay, good. No. Let's go for part 2. It's vin.
Long vin.
It's like you don't finish the end sound. You leave your mouth open for the end sound. Vin. Are you thinking croissant? You have to think croissant when you're doing this here. Long vin.
Long vin. Dang.
See,
I was close.
I could just feel it there. I could feel it there. You got to use the force, I guess. Something like that.
I listened to a French guy pronounce it, and I was like, it's definitely Langevin, but you're saying it's long va.
Help me, Langevin Kenobi. Help me.
Dang it! I thought I was right.
Tu parles français, Stone? Nice.
De temps en temps.
Moi aussi.
Pour pratiquer aquí.
Moi aussi, un petit peu.
Aquí.
Au contraire, bonjour.
Non, parce que j'habite en Uruguay, es un pays latino. See, even Spanish is lapsing into my French. It's getting crazy. I said esa instead of c'est un pays latino.
Yeah, you'll just be speaking Portuguese then.
Yeah, there's one in popular in Brazil called Portunhol. It's sort of an Espanol Portuguese / together, and that's their language. It's brutal.
Despite the technical difficulties, all in all, it was a good debate, guys.
Nah, you slayed him like we knew you would. End of story. Pretty easy to make that call.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna wrap up the after party stream here. I'm gonna close this out. Be back in a few minutes. Yo, thanks everyone for tuning in to the after party and watching the debate. If you haven't seen the debate yet, go ahead and check it out on Jaren's channel. Catch you guys tomorrow for Flat Earth Fridays. And then Saturday, I'll be presenting Battle of the Beams over on Earth Awakenings. So definitely check that out. And then on Monday, hopefully I can get a moderator to... Actually, I probably won't even need a moderator, but we'll see what happens with the scheduling. I'm supposed to be doing a presentation on modern day debate of the Battle of the Beams as well. To, get those Glober refutations in there to see how all that goes. So make sure you check that out. And then Tuesday, Kane will be presenting on maps, I think. So check that out.